Greetings, everyone. Well, it's closer look time again here on the Multimedia Chronicles, and today we're going to be taking a look at Sherlock, the complete series Blu-ray set. Yeah, Sherlock was, of course, the modern take on Sherlock Holmes, produced between 2010 and 2017 for 13 feature-length episodes total, averaging 85 to 90 minutes apiece for 4 series and 1 feature-length holiday special. The series was produced by Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss, and was basically their idea to bring Sherlock Holmes into the modern era to see how the famous consulting detective might function in the modern world with all modern technology, modern forensic techniques, and so forth. And bottom line is, it actually works really, really well. This is an incredibly clever, fun, and entertaining series, and an absolute treat for Sherlock Holmes fans. So let's take a look at the Blu-ray set today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. So Sherlock began in 2010 with a 3-episode series. There was a pilot episode which preceded it. The pilot was actually rejected, funny enough, and they were told to go back to the drawing board because they didn't think it worked out very well. The pilot is actually included in the Blu-ray set, so if you want to see what some of the differences were and get a little bit of insight into the creative process of how to develop a story and whatnot, definitely worth a look. So I had heard about Sherlock through the grapevine, but it wasn't until I think Series 2 was out that I actually finally sat down and checked it out. And boy, what a treat. It's just such a fun show. I wasn't sure how well it would work. The Sherlock Holmes had always been depicted as a little bit older of a character, so at first I was thinking like, well, he's so young. I don't know is that going to be convincing that he would be old enough to have accumulated all of this skill and knowledge and such. But then I thought, of course, there was the old movie Young Sherlock Holmes back in the day, which I loved as a kid. So, sure, why not? Let's give it a try. So, right from the first episode, like from the first couple of scenes, as soon as Benedict Cumberbatch comes onto the scene, that's it. I was sold immediately. He just has such a compelling presence as Sherlock. And then Martin Freeman as Watson is just the perfect antithesis to that. I mean, they just balance each other so perfectly. So there's a lot of little nods to elements from the classic series that are very directly updated. Like, for example, the original books were supposedly the memoirs of Watson, writing the story of his friend Sherlock Holmes. Well, in this one, he still does that, but he does it as a blog. And Sherlock himself, rather than having his trademark pipe, has an armful of nicotine patches. So there's a lot of little kind of modernized takes on the classic elements, but it still has that feel of being true to the character and true to the spirit of the original stories. And of course, you can't have Sherlock Holmes without his arch nemesis, Moriarty. So this is a very different kind of take on Moriarty as well, where he was essentially the posh, mustache-twirling, typical kind of villain in the original stories. The intellectual equal of Holmes, certainly, but played very, stereotypically. In this one, they went in a very different direction with the wonderful Andrew Scott playing Moriarty more as just straight-out psychotic. I mean, he is scary, absolutely terrifying. And again, just as Sherlock Holmes is the consulting detective, Moriarty is the consulting criminal. So they're diametric opposites yet equals in so many wonderful, fascinating ways. So the whole idea that Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss had was to take the core idea of Sherlock Holmes, that he would just use whatever tools were available to him at the time, and simply move it into a modern setting. So much as Holmes back in the day would use the tools available to him at the time, much the same with the modern version. He just uses the tools that are available today. So he likes to use text messaging and the internet and more modern forensic techniques to examine crime scenes and things like that. I also really like how it gets into his mental process, the whole concept of his mind palace, and we see sort of cleverly animated renditions of that as he's trying to figure out the solution to a problem, or he knows he has all the information he needs, he just has to put the pieces of the puzzle together, figure out how it all relates, and then come up with a solution from there. And you actually see visual representations of his mental process as he's sorting through all these disparate thoughts, trying to make sense of things, and how he would actually go and delete information to make room for new information and so forth. He's just such a fascinating character, and I love how Benedict Cumberbatch plays him, how he's kind of personable, yet awkward in social situations, brilliant, yet obsessive, and often his own worst enemy in terms of just having this insatiable need to find the solutions to problems. And when he can't find the answer, it literally drives him nuts. But it's just so much fun to watch it all play out. And the wonderful performances throughout as well. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman are just such a dynamic duo working together. Like, what a perfect pairing. And what's great about this show is they were so dedicated to it and doing it well, and continued to come back to do further series even after they'd done The Hobbit and some of the Marvel movies. They were on their way to becoming superstars by the time Series 4 came out. They came back to do Series 4 because they loved the show and believe in the show, and for the fans, essentially. So, good on them. Anyway, let's head on down to the black table, and we'll take a look at the Blu-ray set of Sherlock, the complete series. All right, here we go. The complete saga of the absolutely brilliant modern update, adaptation, reimagining of Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock, starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. Yeah, basically, ever since I saw the first series of this, I wanted to get it on Blu-ray. But, of course, as with many things, I waffled and waffled and waffled, and then I'm kind of glad I did, because then they put out this really nice complete series set, just having the whole works all handy-dandy in one box set, and it wasn't too expensive either, so pretty nice. So here we go. Let's take a look-see here. So it's just essentially the individual season sets, without slipcovers, in a box, and that's it. That's the whole thing. So, very exciting. So, anyway, let's take a look here, one by one. All right, so starting off with Series 1. Yeah, so I say sans slipcovers because when all of these were originally released individually, they had slipcovers with them, but they don't in the box set. But that's okay. Very nice. So each series of this is quite short. It's basically 3 episodes, each of which is 90 minutes long. So 3 movie-length episodes. So then here, we just take a look. Just spin these around here. There we go. So we have the first 2 episodes here, A Study in Pink and The Blind Banker on disc 1. And then on disc 2, we have The Great Game and Special Features. Now, in terms of special features on Series 1, on Episode 1, we have commentary featuring Mark Gatiss, Stephen Moffat, and Sue Virtue. Episode 3 commentary featuring Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman, Mark Gatiss, and the exclusive pilot episode, Sherlock, A Study in Pink. I don't know why they say that's the exclusive pilot. Isn't it just Episode 1 of the series? I don't know, maybe. Anyway, and then we have Unlocking Sherlock, a making-of special. Yeah, why is that called the exclusive pilot episode? Exclusive to what? Where else is it going to be other than in the Series 1 or Season 1 set? And we'll just pause here for a second. Much like Sherlock having the insatiable need for answers, well, I'm much the same way. So after being all confused as to why A Study in Pink was listed as an extra, I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it turns out that they originally did A Study in Pink as a 1-hour pilot episode. The original concept was they were going to do 6 one-hour episodes per series of Sherlock. So they did their pilot episode, which is the one that's included in the extras here, and it was rejected. They felt that it just wasn't working, and they went back to the drawing board and retooled it and decided to do the series as 90-minute episodes instead of hour-long episodes. So it gave the stories a little bit more time to breathe. They were able to do a little bit more deeper development for the stories and the characters, and it just seemed to work better in that format. So instead of 6 hour-long episodes, they did it as 3 90-minute episodes, and that was that. So needless to say, the second pilot was much better received, and it was greenlit for the rest of the series. So anyway, that solves the mystery of why A Study in Pink is listed as an extra. It's not just the first episode of the series, it's the original alternate version of the pilot, so actually pretty damn cool that they included that. And yes, if that all sounds a little bit familiar, I did briefly mention the pilot episode in the intro. Little secret for you, I don't film all the parts of these closer looks in sequence, so sometimes information tends to get repeated or jumbled a little bit. Sorry! Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that, and now back to the rest of the closer look. Enjoy! I don't know. I guess they're calling them seasons. Sometimes they call them series, sometimes they call them seasons. I know in the U.S. they're always called seasons, but sometimes in Britain they're called seasons, like Doctor Who, for example. The classic series is called Seasons, the new series is called Series, this one's called Seasons. I don't know if that's just for the U.S. releases and they called them series in Britain, or... I'm so confused. Anyway, we're just going to go by what's on the label. So, Season 1. There we go. Then we have Season 2. Very nice. This, of course, left off with one of the biggest cliffhangers of the series and wasn't resolved until a few years later when they finally did Series 3. But we'll get to that another time, perhaps. So, Season 2, again, 3 feature-length episodes. We have A Scandal in Belgravia, The Hounds of Baskerville, which is such a fun episode. I love that one. And The Reichenbach Fall. Yeah, so anyone familiar with the original stories of Sherlock Holmes will kind of get the fun they're having with the titles of the original stories and what some of those original stories entailed, and the twist they put on them in these sort of modernized takes on them are quite brilliant, I have to say. So, Season 2, for extras, we have Sherlock Uncovered, audio commentary, English and French languages, and that's all they say. It doesn't say specifically what audio commentaries there are either. Give us a little more detail on that in Season 1. Oh well, we'll just assume they all have audio commentaries, and it features absolutely everyone. I have no idea. Anyway, I'm sure they're lovely. And then we have Season 3, which was a very highly anticipated season at the time, because Season 2 left off with one heck of a cliffhanger. How far apart were these? Season 2 was 2012. Season 3 was 2014. Yeah, so we had to wait 2 years to find out what happened. And, yeah, a lot of fun. There was a lot of fan speculation as to how that cliffhanger may have been resolved. And in the premiere episode of this, throughout the entire thing, they have a lot of fun, kind of poking fun at some of those fan theories, until we finally get the real explanation, which may or may not have been the real explanation. Yeah, because Sherlock doesn't like to make things too easy for us small-brained people, right? So, Season 3, we have, once again, 3 episodes. We have The Empty Hearse, The Sign of 3, little take on The Sign of 4, and His Last Vow. And then, of course, we have some bonus features. So, very, very nice. What do we have for bonus features on this one? We have The Fall, Fans, Villains, and Speculation. Well, there you go. Yeah, a lot of fan speculation as to how that cliffhanger is going to be resolved. And Shooting Sherlock. So, very good. Very nice little collection of extras there. And then, while we were all waiting for the announcement of a Series 4, we got a holiday special, The Abominable Bride. Yeah, very cool. Kind of unexpected, just sort of a random bonus episode in the middle of everything. And yeah, this kind of gives us a slightly more classic take on Sherlock Holmes. Or does it? Well, you'll have to watch and find out. So for bonus features, we'll talk about that in a second here. There is the lovely disc art. And, of course, the lovely eco-packaging that, I'm a big fan of that. But anyway, for bonus features, we've got Mark Gatiss, A Study in Sherlock, the Mark Gatiss Production Diary, Writer's Interview, Creating the Look, 8 inside looks at how this unique special was crafted, Sherlockology Q&A, and the creators of Sherlock answer questions from Sherlock's #1 fan site. So, very, very good stuff. And then finally, last but not least, we were all kind of surprised that we got a Series 4 because both Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman have made quite a name for themselves in Hollywood ever since, since the days when they started Sherlock. But they love their fans and love their humble beginnings, so we did indeed get a final season to top it all off. So... oh, and this one they call Series 4, because of course they do. Yep, all the others were season, this one is series. Consistency, maybe? Anyway, it's a minor complaint, who cares? So, there we go. Very nice. Let's crack this open. Once again, we have 2 discs. Let's just spin that around. So the final 3 episodes of Sherlock, the epic conclusion to the saga, we have The Six Thatchers, The Lying Detective, and The Final Problem. And then, of course, bonus features. Very nice. Wonderful stuff. So for special features, we have Behind 221B, John and Mary's Flat, Script to Screen, The Writer's Chat, Mark Gatiss Video Diary Part 1 On Set, and Mark Gatiss Video Diary Part 2, The Final Scenes, Video Diary with Danny Hargraves, and a 221B set time-lapse. And there you go. And that wraps up the entire story of Sherlock. But, yeah, as I said, I mean, I thought this was an absolutely brilliant update, and it's such a fun series. Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman are both obviously having the time of their life. And the camaraderie between the two of them is just wonderful. They would, of course, reunite briefly for the Hobbit movies, in which Martin Freeman, of course, was playing Bilbo Baggins, and Benedict Cumberbatch was the voice of Smaug, the dragon. Very cool stuff. Anyway, yeah, a very nice little set, and as I said, quite affordable on Amazon. And, you could probably binge your way through this series in a few sittings. It's quite addicting and an absolute joy. And there you have it. So, quite a nice comprehensive collection. Yeah, so it's amazing to think that there's only 13 episodes, but they are feature-length episodes. So I guess if you were to equate it to an hour-long show, it's like the equivalent of 26-hour episodes, I guess. It's funny because when you're watching each episode, each 90-minute long episode, it doesn't feel like 90 minutes. I mean, it just sucks you right in to the story and the acting and the mystery, and it's just an absolute delight to watch. So as always, if you'd like to add Sherlock to your Blu-ray collection, I will include Amazon links in the description down below. Big thanks to those of you who use my Amazon links because, of course, that does go to support the show pretty directly, and I really, really appreciate that. So thank you very much. Well, that is it from me to you for now. So thank you very much for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors. Be sure to catch me on Twitch. I stream just about every day, and I will see you next time. Until then, sayonara.